Thanks, David. Really pleased to be able to provide an update today. So a bit of a different slide pack to what you've just seen. We've now exited the mining business, but really happy to take you through some of the progress we've made. Next slide, please. So where do we play? We play in the battery materials industry now. This industry is going to grow significantly over the next 10, 20 years, and it's growing as we speak. We've got some really critical technologies which we're looking to develop over the next few years. There's this supply chain shift that we've seen. I know John just mentioned around China being a demand for battery materials, and that's absolutely spot on. But there's a big desire for lots of jurisdictions around the world to decouple supply chains away from the reliance that's on China. And probably the biggest thing, and we'll cover some of this as we go through the slides, is we've identified that partners are a critical part of our development path. Next slide. So this is a simplified view of the lithium battery supply chain. So on the left there, you've got your miners. We do have some investments still in some companies, as you can see, and that's really just a legacy of our starting life, which was an explorer back in the day. So we've now decoupled all of our primary holdings in projects. So we do have some listed investments, but very much driven towards lithium chemicals and through to materials. So let's start with our leader technology. So this is the technology we announced yesterday. This technology, we've now secured MinRes as a partner. So really pleased to have someone of that credence, have a look over our technology and come in and partner with us and help fund that technology. And it's a very disruptive technology. So what we're seeking to do here is take a spodumene mine and improve the recovery. So it doesn't use a thermal process; it's a caustic process. So we're able to be quite selective on recovery of lithium, and what that means is you get the potential to take a lithium recovery from 60% to 90%. So very big for the miners, not only from a cost perspective, but also a sustainability perspective. Because of the way that the technology works, it doesn't need to be on a very high quality material out of the mine. We can work on low grade, and we can also work on waste materials as well. So where we are with that technology, we'll look to kick off our piloting this year and get to a development plant in the next few years. Then you move further downstream. So the leaner technology that will produce a chemical called lithium phosphate, and that's a precursor material that goes into cathode active materials. VSPC is the brand we have for our cathode active materials business. We focus on lithium ferrophosphate and lithium manganese ferrophosphate, so they're a much safer, cheaper variant of the materials that you've got historically. We've been doing this a long time. So, getting into 20 years now of developing nanotechnology, but absolutely taking that next step in the next 12 months to increase our capacity from our 1 to 2 tons a year over in Brisbane. We don't play in the cell manufacturing and the EV space. We observed that there's a very high capital cost, and I think the technology does take a long time to get right in those areas. So we're definitely partnering with those industries, but we're not going to move into that space. But we do work in the recycling. So when a lithium-ion battery is at the end of its life, or as we've seen over the last few years, they become available due to a recall, then we have volumes of batteries to recycle. We strip those batteries out into their various components, so the steel, copper, aluminium, but really what we're looking to get our hands on is the active materials in the battery, which is called mixed metal dust or black mass, and then we sell that on for refining, and it goes back into the battery industry. So we lead the market here in Australia through Envirostream, and we've got some very safe mechanisms to continue to grow over the next few years. Next slide, please. So where are we in the industry? We're in a market that's just going gangbusters at the moment. To be quite frank, the outlooks for any demand seem to be increasing for as you go through one quarter to the next quarter. There is a shift in chemistry. So the second slide, second graph, sorry, to the left, which shows NMC, LFP, NCA. You can see that the share of lithium ferrophosphate cathode materials will increase between now and 2030. We're already seeing that coming, and we are also developing the next phase of lithium ferrophosphate powders, which is lithium manganese ferrophosphate cathode powders. And then on the right hand side, you see where we've got quite a small operation for recycling at this point in time. By the time you get to 2030, 2040, the volumes in Australia are going to be very significant. So we need to be prepared for those volumes because there's no one else in the market at this point in time who's able to do what we do. Next slide, please. So I mentioned the geopolitical shift, through the US Inflation Reduction Act and other jurisdictions around the world. We're seeing a lot of investment in companies to have a product that's made either in the country or through partner countries, and through the US, EU, Canada, and Australia. We've seen some significant commitments. We're looking to leverage those commitments, and specifically for our cathode active material business, we see the US as a key growth market for us, and we'll focus on developing partners and taking ourselves into that market as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. So what are our plans and what have we achieved so far? So these are the three technology platforms we have. So lithium chemicals, cathode materials, and recycling, and some of our targets. So for FY24, which we've just started, we've set ourselves some target to find a development partner for our cathode active materials, for our lithium chemicals business, which we've achieved as announced yesterday. And we want to start the piloting, which will happen in this half of this calendar year. For our cathode active materials, very much a case of building our partners either from an offtake or raw material perspective, but also getting to a point where we can build a larger facility. And then for our recycling business is very much about improving the operational effectiveness of that business, getting through to cash flow positive. And then once we've got it to that position, then we'll start to grow nationally and internationally. And then within Lithium Australia as a group. So I think we acknowledge that we need to be prepared for quite significant growth over the next few years. And so we're putting the foundations in over this year to ensure that when we grow, we can grow sustainably. Over the next few years, so where we see, say 2 to 3 years time, I think we'll have a demonstration plant for our lithium chemicals technology. We would hope that Mineral Resources would fund that and have that on their own facility, and we'd just license the technology through to it. From a offtake perspective, we would have secured our offtake, and then we'll be in a position where we'll build a demonstration plant. And then for Envirostream, we're seeing significant increases in volumes already. So just to give an example, last year we received 1.1 or 1,100 tons of batteries into Envirostream in FY22, and if FY23 it's approximately 1,500 tons. So we are seeing significant growth year on year, and the mix of those batteries is shifting towards lithium-ion batteries as well, which is useful. Next slide, please. So I mentioned about our partnerships. So very key for us to make sure we've got the right partners to grow our business. I've spent a bit of time going through the deal we did with Mineral Resources, which we've announced yesterday. So we've got a joint development agreement with Mineral Resources. They'll provide $4.5 million through a convertible note to get through piloting and an engineering study for our LENA technology. We'll put in our IP effectively and our know-how into that joint venture. To the extent that the results are positive, which there's no reason why we can't say there's not, then we would look to license that that technology out to a number of different operators and juniors, for that matter, around the world. Clearly, when you can take a recovery of lithium from 60 to 90%, it's very, very positive. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why we've been able to secure such a significant partner like Mineral Resources. They've been very open with us around the scope of the technology, and very, very keen to see them deploy the technology on their operations and outside of their operations. In terms of cathode active materials, so one of our partners is Novonix. They did some test work on our product earlier on this year, and tested our product against some of the key products in the world, and it stacks up very well, the cathode active material from our operations. In addition to Novonix, we're also working with cell manufacturers, so gigafactories effectively around the world, to come up with some commercial arrangements there, either from offtake or development perspective. And it's actually one of the reasons why Simon Lenjao, our new CEO, is unable to make today's call. So he's up in Korea at the moment, just having some of those early conversations with parties over there. And then the battery recycling business. I mean, clearly we've got a national footprint, so doing that on our own, with being such a small company, is quite challenging. So to have the network of a Bunnings or Officeworks is very important for us. We don't just deal in the small handheld batteries, we also deal in the large format batteries, and that's where we want to move to. We're seeing significantly more batteries coming in through the EVs and energy storage systems, and we have a partner in LG Energy Solution who gave us quite a large volume of energy storage systems over the last 12 months. Next slide, please. And here's just a summary of us. So clearly the result yesterday was received positively by the market, but we don't need to go out and raise money. We've got a strong balance sheet, as you can see there on the left-hand side, strong cash position, strong listed investment position, 3 technologies which we believe have a significant role to play in the lithium-ion battery supply chain in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And for now, it's really just about taking those technologies forward. Thanks, David. Over to you.
Thanks, Stuart. Great presentation. And as you mentioned, the market clearly excited yesterday by the news of the agreement with Mineral Resources. Just to sort of step back a little bit, what's the process that you went through in terms of finding a partner for Lena, and the time and the due diligence and the things that you had to go through to get to a stage of making an announcement and sort of formalising an agreement to then move forward?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and actually it's a really important one for us, because we had committed to the pilot plant a while ago, and what we did about 12 months ago now is take a pause to find a partner. We were getting to a point where we felt like there could be a commercial partner such as Mineral Resources to come in, and it's a 2-year journey of us engaging with the technical teams, ensuring that they're comfortable, making sure they've done their test work. We've run Mineral Resources materials through on a bench scale, all the way through to a lithium ferrophosphate cathode lab, actually. So we've got some pretty smart technologies that can interface. When we were able to prove to Mineral Resources what the recovery is, potential recovery of their lithium through its technology, and we're not just producing a spodumene concentrate as well. I think it's important to realise that from a miner you get an increase in recovery if you mine, but you also move downstream. So we're producing a lithium chemical, not a spod concentrate. So they're already moving down the supply chain, which is very important for someone like MinRes. But throughout all the engagement, very positive, very open. I think they acknowledge that the piloting is an important step for us. And that's why they've funded all of the piloting and provided material available to complete the test work.
And just on the next steps, I know you did touch on it, but to reiterate, what are the next steps? What are the milestones shareholders and potential shareholders should be looking at as the milestones to follow?
Yeah, so first of all, it'll be getting the piloting up and away. So we expect to have that starting this year. So we're just working with Ansto at this point in time to find a slot available for them to execute the work. So that's where all of our test work has happened in the past. Once the piloting is finished, very much through to a point where we can continue to look towards a demonstration plant. So we'll commence an engineering study for the technology, which will inform MinRes as to the size and scope of that material, of that equipment, sorry, to enable hopefully them to develop that plant on their sites and truly demonstrate the commercial ability of the technology. After that, it's very much a case of licensing the technology out to Mineral Resources, but also to third parties as well. So there's no limit on who this technology could go to, but at this point in time, given our technology readiness, it's not possible to license the technology.
And you touched on in your presentation a number of your sort of key parts of the business are at or nearing partnering stage, which, you know, the MinRes deal is clearly one key milestone in that regard in relation to Lena. But how advanced are partnering discussions across the other parts of the business? Obviously, nothing's been disclosed, so you can't talk too deeply into them. But, you know, are you seeing the crescendo, if you like, of partner discussions starting to reach or be reached?
Yeah, we are. I think, we've definitely seen an uptick. And look, I think, we've had a new CEO, Simon Lynch, come in January. He's given the organisation a sense of purpose, and so we've managed to get rid of a little bit of noise that we may have had as an organisation in the past and get us focused on the things that matter most, and that's partnerships ultimately for these technologies. So yes, I think if you look at the recycling business, we're in discussions with major EV manufacturers for agreements to secure their end-of-life batteries. We don't expect huge volumes from those, but what we're trying to do is secure those volumes as they grow into the future, David, so that we're able to plan for what those volumes might be and then gear up or scale up, as Simon would say. And in the cathode active material, that's probably where the most interest is. So we're one of the few LFP manufacturers outside of China, and actually, if we build a demonstration plant, which is what we seek to do, we previously looked at a pre-qualification plant, so something between 200 to 300 tonne per annum facility. But given the interest through the industry, we've really increased our thinking on that. So it's been more like a 2,000 to 3,000 tonne per annum facility. So when we get to that point of talking about a larger facility, people are much more interested in offtake and co-development opportunities. So there's a number of things that we are trying to pursue at this point in time, but nothing's definitive. So this will just be updated as things come to completion.
Yeah, just touching on LFP, a fellow ASX listed company, much bigger, clearly, being Pilbara Minerals, have spoken about their interest in LFP as well. Do you see that as a sign of greater competition or a greater maturity in this market?
I actually just see it as a greater opportunity. To be honest, I think there's some cohorts that talk about the different chemistries and they compete against each other, but the reality is there's a struggle to find enough minerals and materials to provide satisfactory amounts and quality to build the EV and ESS applications in the next few years. So if Pilbara are interested, I think that's good because someone needs to. We believe it's a great chemistry because it's a lot safer, and as I said, it's cheaper. We've got our own proprietary process, so we're able to produce this without cutting across anyone else's IP. And we're the only ones in Australia producing LFP at the moment. And as I mentioned, globally, there's a handful of small companies outside of China that can produce this material. So from a geopolitical perspective, we're actually very attractive.
And finally, Envirostream, activities clearly advancing. Is the focus on getting to a cash flow break-even point or growing the footprint to take advantage of the opportunity?
Both. Yeah. So I think what what we're focused on today is building a sustainable model. So, turning a startup recycling business into a manufacturing business. So we've started to recruit the right management roles for that. Simon Lynch has got a manufacturing background as well, so he brings a high degree of credence into that organisation. He's based in Melbourne, which is where all of our recycling facilities are. We'll look to improve our commercial outcomes, increase our operational efficiencies, which will lower our costs. That'll get us to a cash flow positive, and then we'll look to grow nationally and also internationally. So, as part of our conversations, invariably someone that's looking at cathode materials might also be looking at end-of-life solutions as well, because if they're cell manufacturers, then they like to begin with a battery make, but also what happens at the end of life.
A diverse portfolio, but clearly linked to the battery metals space and the EV revolution. Clear strategy, partnerships dropping into place. Exciting times ahead for Lithium Australia and its shareholders. Stuart, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.